Welcome to the Starting Over podcast. I am your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is where we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of Heroclix. I'm in Kansas City. It's going to be awesome. So that means I'm most likely going to get a show out immediately after I finish recording it and editing. Pretty much, there is about 2 feet of snow outside that I am looking at. And I have to give props to my mom because when I wasn't here, she shoveled the driveway of 2 feet of snow. So, uh, it's interesting. A little cold back here in the recording cave, but that's okay. Uh, it's good to be home. I have a 4-day weekend, and that's why you're getting a show. Anyway, you're probably asking Dark Logos after that long emotional podcast that we got last week, are you going to cut the crap and go back to talking about Heroclix? Yes, I am. All right, so today we're going to talk about team dials. And if you read the blog, you're going to say, like, yeah, you hate them, you don't like them, this, that, and the other. Okay, fine. But what I really want to do is say, all right, put my bias aside. All right, bias is put aside. Let's look at the beginning. Let's look at what we've seen so far. Let's look at the mechanic, and let's look at the advantages and disadvantages of having, these figures. Because I can say, man, these are the worst things ever. We should never ever play them, and then they go win Gen Con. Okay, and then you're going to be looking at me like, hey, Dark Logos, you said they were the worst things ever. Why did they go win Gen Con? And I would say, I don't know. Okay, so let's get into it a little bit. First off, if you haven't seen Team Dials, I'm sorry, we're about to spoil them for you. If you're one of those people, come back in like maybe a month and a half, and everything will be great. Okay, for everybody else that does care, we have an interesting show for you. Going into the depths of this, first thing that you need to know about Team Dials, they have their own, they have their own rules. They have some cool things that go on with them. They can't use vehicles. They can't use resource dials. They can't use relics. But to counter that, they get an asset dial. Now, that asset dial can be baller or it can be moderately okay. You get to have 2 characters that are on the team dial. They have an asset dial power while they're attached. So when you look at their asset dial and you spin the asset dial, you can be on, Robin's head and Cyborg's head. And then you would get Robin's asset dial power and Cyborg's asset dial power. Same like with Cheshire and Deathstroke. If you had both of them on there, you would get both of their powers. Okay. Asset dial powers. What's the great advantage and disadvantage of this? Well, advantage number 1. They have something built into their points, which I hope is, a bit balanced. We'll find out later. So that they have their base powers, their traits, their special powers, and something on top of that. It would be real easy to say, for example, that the Infinity Gauntlet would be broke on a full powered team dial. Because there's like no way that you're going to get that down. I mean, unless you get really lucky. There is no way that you're going to get that team dial down from top click to bottom click before they hit Godhood, or at least +1. So Infinity Gauntlet, out the question. That's glad they don't get to use that. Now there are some other cooler things like Iagamata. What else? Crimson Gem. Now the funny one would be, and I do mean funny, Nova Corps helmet, because then they would be in the Nova Corps. But as you can see, by them not having those, by not being able to use those items, there's a lot of things that become balanced. So if you have that person in your venue that's like, I hate the Affinity Gauntlet, I hate the Bat Belt, I hate everything that's a resource dial, it's the devil, then tell them to play team dials and then see how they like it. All right. The next distinct advantage is that you can have them on multiple elevations, which is by far the biggest problem with Colossals and really any multi-base figures, is that the fact you have to have them all on one elevation, in which I sort of find amusing that, Master Mode has to be on one elevation, but the Teen Titans don't. But, oh well. Yeah, oh well. I guess there's never a comic where, Galactus goes, spelunking or, or is coming down a mountain or something. I guess. So when we look at the fact that we're able to put this multi-base figure on multiple elevations of clear terrain or hindering terrain or water terrain, just not blocking terrain, that it gives a certain tactical advantage. Tactical advantage number one: you can shoot from elevated terrain down, onto whoever you need to shoot, which could allow you to shoot over hindering terrain or whatever else you need to. Advantage number two: your difficulties in placement aren't as hard. There's not as many limitations. So let's take, for example, Bizarre World Map. There's places that you could be on elevation 3 and then an elevation 1 at the same time. However that works, I really don't care right now. I really don't want to go into that. But you have to also look at the fact that, you being on elevation 3, if there was any game effect that was in play that says, when your highest point character is on the highest point of elevation or the lowest point of elevation, you get blah, 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 blah. You could say that in the future. If there's something like that in the future, then bam, there's another distinct advantage. But right now I can't think of any power that does anything like that for a team. So, with your lines of fire advantage also comes your disadvantage. If you're on 2 elevations, if your opponent's not paying attention, and this is what I will say will probably happen more times than not, your opponent's not going to be paying attention to the fact that you shot them from elevated terrain and that you can be shot because you're on the edge of elevated terrain. Yeah. So the same problem with giants of line of fire in manipulating that elevated terrain is the same problem that you'll have. Is that you have this big, huge target that's, the size of a house that you're able to hit. So, take it for advantage or disadvantage, however you want to look at it. Okay. So those are very, distinctive advantage. The next thing that it gets is this working together ability. It says working together. Give this character a power action. It may be given in one action as a free action for every 100 points. Okay, or fraction thereof. So if you get to 300 points, you can get 3 actions. If you're at 200 points, you're going to get 2 actions. Okay, these free actions may be used for any action, but you may only give the character up to 1 move action, up to 1 power action, up to 1 close combat action, up to 1 range action. Any number of these free actions may be used to make either a close or range combat attack. Okay? And this is really where you see multi-attack mutated. And I do really believe it's multi-attack mutated. And here's why. I can, with a colossal figure, there's only one character in 300 point realm that you can actually use multi-attack. Well, that's a colossal. There's 2 that can use multi-attack. One is, yeah, we already know, love and hate them, Sentry and Void, and the other is the pseudo current mascot of the show, Master Mold. Okay, the flexibility with multi-attack is I move up, boom, that's one of my actions. I attack with range combat expert, that's my second action. Or I move up, hypersonic speed, and attack, and I hypersonic speed attack again. -1 to my damage penalty. Okay? With this, there's no penalty. And I really want people to notice that. You do not have an attack or damage or defense or movement penalty whatsoever. Okay? But the disadvantage is, let's say, for example, this character that's really, really hard to hit and they have combat reflexes. Well, you do your shot, you take your shot, bam. All right. And they still have combat reflexes. You now have a choice. You can move and base them to do a melee attack, you know, or you're pretty much stuck. Now, one of my friends did try to argue that you could say running shot as a power action and do another shot. That is possible because when you do running shot is a power action that lets you get a ranged combat attack as a free action. So you could have something like that. But if that's not on your dial, guess what? You're sort of stuck. You know, you're going to have to make that melee attack. Not being able to do 2 actions in a row that you really need to do at the distance in which you need to do them can be, and I think is going to be, the #1 complaint or problem with team dials. Now, again, I'm not going to say this is bad. I'm not going to say this is fully bad. It can be awesome, but I'm being honest about the position that you're in. The other thing that's interesting is that you can use regen as one of your actions. So let's say you take your shot, you hit mystics, damage, all right, bam. If you have Raven on your dial or whatever, and Raven showing up on your asset dial, shoot, your second action is roll for regen. Regen, heal 4. All right, I've healed 4. Oh, I have this other power. Now I got to do a melee power or move. So there is that flexibility coming back, like, yeah, I attacked and regen and attacked. You know, you could do that, but you can't do some of the silliness of, hey, guess what, guys? I have, you know, multi-attack in the Infinity Gauntlet, and I picked regen, and I have auto regen, so I auto regen, and then I regen normal, and I multi-attack to regen, and I hit my top dial. You can't do that. Now, the one other thing that is sort of interesting, and I'm bringing this up as a side note to all those people that play Golden Age a lot, there's no restriction that says you can't use feats. So slap as many feats on these suckers as you want. That's boom. This is going to be awesome. Okay? Because when it comes to feats, oh yeah, like half of your problems that you have with the working together ability is gone. It's so gone. It's like, hey, buddy, you know, you use this one feat and then it does that and allows you to combine with this other feat and that allows you to do 20 damage. You're like, hold up, wait, allow me to do 20 damage? What the? That doesn't make sense, but it doesn't have to make sense. I have feats. So I want you to keep that in mind. The next thing that I really want us to take into account is that they do have improved movement and that they do get to ignore characters for movement purposes. And now, not for line of fire. So they can't shoot out of adjacency if they're based. So they can be tied up, which doesn't make sense, but it's a good balance. Okay. Now, yes, they can just break away, but let's say, for example, bam, you know that a ranged combat attack is going to kill you, but a melee combat attack, you're going to have 1 click left. Go base them. Go base them. They can't be like ranged combat expert unless they have sharpshooter. So think about that. Okay. The next element that I feel, this is where the shenanigans kick in. And I'll be honest with that and saying, it's shenanigans. Not quite bull. Not quite bull. Or but it gets really interesting. Is when you start doing solo adventure. Okay. Now, what I want everybody to take in is that solo adventure, you have to make sure that people don't cheat you on those solo adventure dials. And I'm not kidding on that. You need to make sure that people do not cheat you on those solo adventure dials. Okay, so let's see why do we have that concern. Okay, well, first off, okay, hold up. First off, if you look at the solo adventure thing, it says here, give this character a power action, which is the dial, which is your team dial. And don't worry, if you have working together, then yeah, you can. Oh, okay, I popped off Cyborg. All right. Remove any team member from the team and insert into its switch click base. All right, there we go. Let's get a switch click base going. Okay, now the character is placed adjacent to the team on a switch click base. Turn to the first click with a click number color that matches the team's current click number color. Okay. If removing the team member from the team would mean that the total point value of the removed team members exceeds the point value of the team, then the team members can't be removed. When a removed character has multiple starting lines, its point value and starting line are considered to be the first starting line, other than an orange starting line preceding the click it is on when placed on the map. Okay, so let's go back. We got Cyborg. Bam. Okay, Cyborg is who's popping off. Okay. We are playing on the. We're going to use, let's say we're going to use the veteran version. So we have the veteran versions of the new Teen Titans. Yeah, okay, whatever. I wish they just call them Teen Titans because it doesn't matter if they're new or not. They're Teen Titans. But anyway, now if for those who can, look at the dial. And you can go to WizKid's page. It's not too far back. If you look at the dial, what you will see is you're going to see several colors on the team dials. So let's say you have a veteran Teen Titans dial. You're going to see this red. Okay. So when you look at Cyborg, okay, and you look at his dial, the red, when you pop him off, will get you on click 1. Okay. So you would get click 1 of Cyborg's dial, which isn't bad. Now, if you decide to use the experience dial, you would start on the blue, which is click 3. All right. All right. So that's Sleep Climb, Psychic Blast, Energy Shield, Deflection, and Perplex. All right. Now, note, Vet, you start on click 1. Experience, you start on click 3. Okay. Now, let's see what happens when we look at the rookie. It's this goldish color, sort of, yellowish, goldish, orangish, whatever. It's in that range, that spectrum. Okay, where would we pop out at with Cyborg? On click 5. So now Cyborg, for 103 points, mind you, is running shot, 9 attack, enhancement, 3 clicks. This is you could say, you're like, it's balanced. Yeah, it's not balanced. It's great. It's just not great. I don't know what to say. But in my opinion, it's this. if you are going to, if it's in your mind, I really want to pop guys off this dial, do not play a rookie version of any of these team dials whatsoever, because you are going to get a crap version of those figures that you pop out, unless they have some power or some game effect that's just ridiculously broken when they're off the base. Now, note, I've bashed WizKids a lot about playtesting. A whole lot. Okay? I gotta say with this looks like a labor of love, like something they want to introduce fun into the game. That can be sort of meta, but not quite meta, but it's always going to be interesting. I don't think they're going to just put a power on there so immediately that when that character pops off, it can do something broken. I think they would like stutter step it so that it would be on like click 2, but if you pop off on the veteran version, you'd be on click 1, which means it'd be 2 turns before they get that broken power, which gives gives you time to go kill that click that popped off. Okay, I don't think they're going to put anything broken out there, but at the same time, I also am mindful that there's characters that pop off and get perplexed or enhancement or all number of silliness. So I'll just leave it at that. So the thing that we recognize is your risk that you're investing in the pop-off mechanic at the rookie level is a lot higher than it is at the veteran level. The experience level is a catch-22. Now, the one thing that I really want them to make clear, and let me see, okay, yeah, because see, it says the character is placed adjacent on to the team on a switch click base. Turn to the first click with a click number colored that matches the team's current click number. The issue is that can I heal Cyborg from click 5 to click 1 on rookie dial? If so, Houston, we have a problem. If not, then okay, it's all good. It's shoots and ladders. Okay, great. We're having a good old time playing. But if I can heal Cyborg from using my rookie version from clicks 5 to 1, then yeah, Houston, we have a problem, because in big point games, all of a sudden Teen Titans go, and with Donald Blake and the henchman is a hired henchman is the new rage, or even more so the new Teen Titans Villains for Hire or whatever, Titans Villains for Hire, whoever the heck they are, Gen 13 whenever they come out, because now I not only have tactically popped off characters that benefit me at that immediate moment or not, I now am able to get more powerful versions and inflate my points astronomically. Astronomically. So it's not like, ooh, Ultron, I pop in some drones. Those dudes suck. Or Master Mode, I pop in a Sentinel. The Sentinels are okay. But if I can come back and say, bloop, I've got a full powered up Starfire in your face, son. Or, hey, check this out. I got a baller Deathstroke just ready to slice you up. That's not fun. That's not fun. So they need to make it clear on that when they pop off that's their starting line. Like they cannot go past that. I really, really hope that's the case. But again, that may not be so. All right, so let's move on. You can put the characters back onto the base, and this is also another part of that. Hey guys, we really still didn't think through that split and merge thing really well, because this is really probably close to what split and merge could have been. And you can look at it like this. All right, now bear with me. And this will only be bad if we deal with a team dial that gets mastermind. I pop off a character. Bloop. They take some damage. Okay, they're still alive. I merged them back on. My opponent failed to kill the character I popped off. I did whatever I was going to do. My opponent has technically wasted a turn, a turn and a half, a perplex, a whatever on trying to kill that character. All right. So now I've technically negated, let's say I've negated 6 damage. I have negated 6 damage and I'm awesome. Okay. My opponent is not going to be happy, but if we're running that team dial, we're happy because our main team dial didn't take that 6 damage. So, all right, that's just something for you to consider. The team coordination. Let's just read through that real quick. When counting characters for a theme team, do not count the team as a character. Instead, each team member counts as a character. At the beginning of the game, when a team is part of a theme team, choose theme team probability control can be used normally, or it can't be used and the team can use probability control. Now, this part I sort of like, but you know, some teams are going to just be boned. They just are. Because let's be honest. If I play Gen 13, are there going to be other Gen 13 characters that I'm going to be able to play with that they're going to put out there? No, most likely not. Now think about your Villains for Hire team and ask yourself, you know, how many more Villains for Hire are going to come out? So some of those characters, when you look at them, it's like, yeah, Teen Titans, they're going to be able to fill in with other Teen Titans. That's for sure. But a lot of other teams really aren't. Now, you got to look at it like this. What other teams are probably going to come out? Classic Avengers, X-Men for sure, Justice League for sure. Okay, they're really going to get us on that one. All right. It's like, but that's not really Superman. Whatever. Long way down the road, Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. And yeah, those are going to be some popular team dials. But really ask yourself, if they did something obscure, how often is that effect going to come in? You know, so what ends up happening is you can say, all right, if I play this theme team, do I just want Titans to have this Titans dial or whatever dial to have probability control straight up? Then I don't have to worry about, you know, counting out how many probability controls I have left. Or you just want to say, you know what? I need all the theme probs I can get because I'm going to have like 20. So it's up to you. Now, no, for you to have like 20 theme probs, you're looking at a 2,000 point game or something. But anyway, you sort of catch my drift. So you're going to have to weigh that risk reward. Most of the time, in all honesty, if you're doing just like a 300 point game, yeah, you're going to take the prop control because you're only going to be able to fit in that one character. It's better for you to have the flat out prop control than it is for you to have the theme prop. But the higher points you go up, you know, that's a little bit more questionable. Okay, so this is where I sort of, to an extent, fall off of the team dial bandwagon. Because when I start looking at the dials and I start looking at what's out there in the powers, I'm like, there's nothing yet that's amazed me. When we look at the Teen Titans, for example, when I look at their stats for their dial and how much I'm paying for those stats, and yes, I didn't go over about adding characters and what that means. Don't even need to go into that. Okay. But just straight up, when we start looking at their point cost and what I'm paying, it's all right. It's not amazing. It's like for 500 points, you can possibly have this. I'm like, okay, that's nice, but when I look at 500 points, what am I going to do for a free action? What? Charge? Then what? Pulse wave? A move attack? Regen? And what else? Maybe a normal melee attack. Okay. That's just once you start getting to that 500 point range, you start running out of options sometimes, and that part I don't really like. It's like, oh, I would regen if I had the ability, but I don't. Uh, when we look at, okay, let's say I'm at 500 points. I'm only paying 500 points. I have an 11 attack and a 4 damage. I need higher damage than that. You're going into that realm of I'm almost a colossal in point value. For 100 more points, you get a colossal that cranks out a lot more damage than that. So in big games, if you go over 600 points, then it's like, all right, what am I going to do? Is it worth playing Teen Titans? And I would say no. But you're going to say, oh, but look, I can do all this cool stuff. And the chance to regen and the chance to do outwit like this and chance. All depends on how that dial spins. Okay. Then when you get to the experience version, you start off with plasticity, which doesn't help you. For that to be your starting click, plasticity and close combat expert, like you can't get away from us. We're about to punch you in the face. Yeah, really? It's almost overcosted because you're better off just creating a special power that says, hey, characters can't break away from Teen Titans unless on a 6. That way you don't get oh yeah, guess what? We automatically break away except on a 6 part that you're actually paying for in your cost value of plasticity. Okay? That's all they had to do to tweak that. Then I wouldn't be as frustrated. But all right, I'll just leave that alone. Then we go to our Psychic Blast clicks, and we're looking at moderate damage. And I know some people are like, well, look, they have those special powers, and they can use Outwit or Perplex or Probability Control, and then they can use that power this turn. Well, it's like, okay, well, if I pick to have Prob straight up instead of a theme team, that probability control is a problem because I'm paying for it. And if I make a choice to use it, then yes, okay, I have Prob, but now my options are Outwit and Perplex, but I pay for Outwit and Perplex and Prob. So my cost is inflated. Okay, so there's that. Now, you could say, well, look, Robin gives you Outwit, and so what happens if you're on that power and you have Robin on your dial and all that? And it would come back. I would come back and say, all right, again, we have overlap, but it's circumstantial overlap. There's a chance that if I play the team dial at, let's say, rookie level, Robin is awesome because I would like to have some Outwit. Definitely after I take some hits. Okay. But on that first starting off on that vet level, yeah, it'd be nice to have that. But then when we start getting into the pretty much the meat of the dial, that's when this Outwit Perplex Prob power comes up, then yeah, you're overpaying. So you can't use like, oh, I use one Outwit and then another Outwit, and then I use the Prob and then or the Prob from me being a team. It doesn't work like that. Really going into the late in dial of the Teen Titans dial, I sort of feel that the rookie dial gives you a great, probably one of the best first starting clicks for your points. Because no, let's not lie to ourselves. You can take on Sentry and Void and win. like a boss. I'm not gonna lie. At this 300 points that you spend for the rookie version, if Century and Void goes first, and you just like, I don't care, just Century and Void go first. Okay, you can move up, charge a wall if you need. Well, not charge a wall. Running shot, that'd be 15, and I think you have like a 7 range. They have like a 7 range or something like that. So you have a 22 swing. Yeah, you can tag Century and Void for a 4 damage Psychic Blast, and then tag them again for another attack. Or you could, you have that Outwit Perplex Prob thing. So you just perplex. You can perplex up your damage, or you can perplex up your attack. Heck, if you want to, you can perplex up your defense if you're really afraid that he's going to hurt you after that. But or you perplex up your movement or your range if you really feel like you want to get up there. But yeah, you're going to be able to take on Century and Void just straight up with the new T Titans dial. But a lot of other teams are just going to run over you. So, all right. So I've waxed elaborately on the new Teen Titans, and I know I could go into the villains for hire because they are distinctively worse because their rookie version caps out around 200, which, yes, you could say, oh, that allows me to put in support. And it does allow you to put in support, but you're only getting 2 actions. So you have to remember you get your actions based on your point value. And again, you have to put everybody on the dial. So once you take characters off the dial, you go down to 1 action, and they're definitely not worth their points. So those are things for you to think about with that. I think that overall, is it bad completely? No. Is it a money grab? Oh, heck yes. This is a money grab. Are there things that they really, you could tell that they thought this through? Yes. Are there other elements that are going to come back and bite them in the butt? Oh, yes. Yes. The first thing that really pops off in my head is this. What happens when people play Golden Age and they use Brilliant Tactician or Compel or whatever else on, Teen Titans dial or a team dial? What then? There's some things that have to be clarified because I know someone's going to say, I mind control your team dial and I'm going to force you to do 4 actions or whatever. And that's not, I don't think that's how it will work. So, all right. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go into a little bit of, I wouldn't say secret tech, but we're going to go into some other elements of tech that I've been working on. I've talked about lightly on the blog, okay? So, and this is also for those people that fully didn't listen to episode 50 last week. All right, so let's look at the bat belt and what that means, the utility belt. And there's some things that have come up tech-wise when I talked to Normal View that I had a question. And this is big up to Silent Screen because, again, he introduced me to the questioning concept. If I have a utility belt and I pay 7 points for it, and I just, off the bat, pop off that item, turn it into a relic, okay, I've done that. Can I still use the utility belt and all the dial stuff on it? Yes, I can. I can get my +2. I can get my charge flare. I can do all that good jazz. I will not get Indomitable. I will not get the ability to negate team abilities. Now, when we go to another element, which is the power number 3, the power number 3 lets you activate a slot and put stuff into that slot or change out your costume or anything like that. And what's interesting is that you're able to go from you paying 2 points on your gauntlet to now having another activated slot. So you have a 10-point value gauntlet. So now you have willpower. So where this becomes an interesting thing is guess what is right after flurry, number 3. So there is always that chance for you on number 3 to say, I'm not going to take an attack. I really don't need to take an attack. I'm going to get this item onto my utility belt. And that's what's going to happen. Now, the interesting thing about that is you're able to go from, like I said, you know, 2 objects on your belt to 3. Change out a costume. You can go from having 11 points on your belt to 12, so then you can negate team abilities. So these things can be really, really interesting. Let's say you have a character that does have range, and you line up on 3, but they have charge at that moment, and you're looking at, you know, pretty much a character that has shape change, and you know you just need to kill that character and you're going to win the game. Pop the 3, pick up the Suit of Sorrows, boom, you have super strength, charge, pick up a heavy that's near you, wreck that character, you know, bam, good going Batman. Also, you can think about this. I think it was Mucho Boy who put out a preview for the resource dial for month 6, the Batcave, and pretty much what he showed was a utility belt and the classic cape and cowl. So I'm pretty much betting that's going to give you stealth. I'm betting that's going to give you stealth. If it doesn't give you stealth, I would almost say I'll do a podcast on My Little Ponies if someone wants to. But it's most likely going to give you stealth. If not, it's going to give you like, shoot, either energy shield deflection or close combat reflexes. It's got to be something like that. Now I know some people would say like it wouldn't make sense for you to put for the bat suit to give you stealth, because Batman has, you know, always has stealth. No, that's stupid, because it's the cape and the cowl that makes him hide in the darkness. So anyway, so I'm betting that's it. So let's go back to number 3 and come back from my tirade. You're on hindering. You know that your opponent has a whole bunch of range figures. It looks like they're about to light you up. You're on 3. You're on hindering terrain. Poof. You know, pop in that classic Batman suit. Now you're stealth. So what has really happened is the charge flurry tech, which, hey, guess what? I had a part to popularize that, has blinded us from looking at some other nuances. Yes, charge, flurry, Magog bomb, death machines, ho. They are awesome. But that's not the full nature of the depth that we have here. We have a lot more. A lot more things that we can think about. Because if we start seeing the slots that allow us to use 2 of the objects, we could just say, man, I load up 6 objects and a utility belt, and then on one of these turns, I'm just going to pop off and throw out, you know, flashbangs and batarangs, and then in cap and make sure that whoever I couldn't in cap, that, you know, the other characters are going to not be able to make ranged attacks. So bam, automatically right there, I've incapacitated my opponent's team for at least a turn. Okay, so that sort of thinking, I think is going to be essential. Another thing that's come up in one of my conversations is the grappling hook. Grappling hook. People have not really thought about the grappling hook and its implications, because we got the grappling hook when we played for Ultimate Clayface, and the Ultimate Clayface map is pretty much the best place for the grappling hook. That and Crime Alley, but I don't ever play on Crime Alley. The idea is if you have a place that you can just get to and carry, you can use the grappling hook, use the carry, you end in that elevated terrain, okay? You get up to that elevated terrain, you know, let's say David Kane is up there with his sniper scope. He goes, you now pop David Kane in the mouth with your awesome damage, and then next turn, your friend that you brought along with you, it can pop David Kane as well in the mouth. Yes, that is awesome. Okay, now imagine if I combine that with, batarangs, or I combine that with, sonar things. I mean, like, boof, there are some options out there for us to really consider. And so, for anyone that is like a math genius or just wants to spend the time, could you email me and say, hey, these are probably the best combinations of, if you really want to do this cool combo, then you want to put this on this slot and this on this other slot. Then I will go and I will put that in next show or whenever I get it, or on the blog in the show. So that is a option that is on the table. Okay. Lastly, just elaborating a little bit on the support utility belt, and actually sort of, messing around with it in my head. I think the support utility belt is going to be still good. I still think the sonar items are going to actually allow you to copy team abilities, is actually going to be the biggest boost for your support utility belt. At the same time, and this is sort of an addendum, the way that support is going with your ancient ones, not that your David Kane's. David Kane is support. People, I mean, yes, he attacks, but he is support. Your Justice League Green Lantern, your Enchantress, so on and so forth. We're really paying for attackers, like third string attackers, and with the utility belt, it just turns them to a second tier attacker. So the question comes in, and this is where some team building thought is coming in for me personally, is, are we in a place where I don't need this major hitting Superman character to deal tons of damage? Okay. I want that to flow through your head. Do I really need this Superman-like character to do a ton of damage? And I know we talked about team dials. I'm counting those as like a Superman-like character. Pop in 4, 8, 12, done. Okay. I'm not counting them. I'm saying, all right, we have 4 figures on the team. They all have, support powers to some extent. One does a base 3 or 4 damage, and then the rest sort of key off between 2 and 3 damage. Can we say, a 4-man, 5-man team of that is actually very viable? And if so, what does that mean for our meta? And what does that look like? And I think the support utility belt comes in, is that in a 300-point game, very, 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 very few people are going to be playing Iron Man at 224 or 225. Okay, very few people. And then add in, when you see that Iron Man, he's going to have the Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah, he's going to have the Infinity Gauntlet or the utility belt and some form of backup. Most likely you're going to see Iron Man at 125. If you mostly see Iron Man at 125, that means the only thing that's really going to negate your utility belt is going to be Catwoman. If Catwoman negates your utility belt, you just need to pack something that's anti-stealth, and then possibly to negate her team ability, from range if possible, with the utility belt before she can get to you, and then light her up. But really, Catwoman is your only real major threat, and if you have it on a support piece, yes, that support piece, if they got negated, you lost 10 points. They had to invest 68 points, plus that character, that Catwoman, has to attack. So the trade-off that we're looking at is, my major attacker is now all of a sudden, 105 points, which when we look back at DC and Marvel 10th, 115 points, to 100 to 115 points can get you 4 base damage. That's not a problem. So the question, the next question we can ask is, can we do theme? Do we need to have theme? Do we need to navigate? this diverse landscape of all this stuff coming out? Can we deal with cop cars? Can we deal with Sentry and Void? Can we deal with team dials? What's our overall solution? Can the team still function if one character is KO'd? I mean, you got to be real with it. So I'm throwing that to you for you to think on, meditate on, let marinate a bit into your bones, let you, chop it up, get the itis on it, and dream great dreams. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much it. You can hit me up at StartOverPod on Twitter. That's at StartOverPod. Yep. I haven't used Twitter that much lately, but I'm going to try to get back on there. I'll put some random things out there. Big shout outs to the Push to Regen cats because they blow up Twitter all day. And if I want to laugh, I'll just go and look at some of the stuff that they put out on Twitter. So check that out. Next up, you can hit me up on YouTube like you are now, but who watches YouTube anyway? Anyway, hit subscribe if you haven't. A lot of people, national, international, big shout outs to y'all. The Canada people and the Europeans. What's up? To anybody else that just wants to hit me up with a question, email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. I got a lot of great emails last week. I think I got back with just about everybody. So really do appreciate them. It does make the workday go by a little bit faster and a lot more amusing. And let's see. Last but not least, make sure you check out the blog. The blog has great stuff, people. If you want my current musings during the week, just check out the blog. You'll find out all sorts of interesting things, and then some thoughts that, like I said that before in other shows, that just don't belong on a show. That you should just look at it, read it, and move on. I do recommend that you do check out the post in which I break down the morph mechanic with Spider-Man. I think it was like Spider-Man Tech version 4, in which, and I think I did tweet it, I'm not quite sure, but I was updating the post in real time to update with all my thoughts as I was doing it and updating which version I was on. So check that out. Check out all the new stuff. If you have anything that you want me to talk on, hit me up on any of those information sources. If you put stuff in the comments below, I do read them. My reaction to getting back to them is a little bit slower because if I get them at night, the internet on the phone is a little bit, let's say it's on a meter. And AT&T says I've gone over my monthly limit. So me getting back to folks on YouTube at night is not as quickly, but definitely with the email, it's a lot easier for me to get back to folks. All right, that's it. Hit me up whenever, and I really appreciate you listening. And remember, we all have to start over sometime.